Senator Dave Lent from Idaho Falls chairs the Senate Education Committee, and he joins us in the studio this week to talk about education funding, potential budget cuts, and his legislative priorities for the rest of the session. And thank you so much, Senator Lent, for joining us here today. We really appreciate your time. The first question that we have for you is, can you just tell us about the general atmosphere this week in the legislature, what it's been like, what the main bills are, and what that atmosphere has been like this week?
Well, this particular week is really kind of tense in the fact that the legislature really has one prime responsibility, and that's the financial part of the state, paying the bills. And so we have a joint committee called the Joint Finance Appropriations Committee. I served on that for 4 years. I'm not on it right now, but it's 10 senators and 10 House members, and their job is to take the governor's proposed budget along with the department's proposed budget, put those together and come up with a budget based on our revenue projections. The challenge we're having this year, in a way, we have really been aggressive in going after reducing our taxes in our state. For example, in the last 8 years, we have reduced income tax 5 times. We've gone from 7.4% to 5.3% at a flat rate, which works. It's a great way to reduce taxes and burdens. I've also been involved in reducing property taxes by about 3 years ago, started an effort to have more state participation in local school districts. So what that amounts to is that we provide more money at the state level so that they have to fund or bond for less money in our local communities. So that's directly related to property taxes. Those two things are real important. And I would just say, just to add on so people understand what's happening this year, the reason this is a challenge, it's not because our state's not doing well, it's not because the economy is not strong. We have been so aggressive in going after taxes that we've actually created a situation where we've underfunded our government. So what that means now is we have to tighten our belts and look for ways to spend less money. That's always hard, but it's not a bad thing either. But it's just part of what we're going through. So this is one of those years where it's a belt tightening year.
For sure. And as you've mentioned with the proposed budget cuts and how the budget is tight this year, the governor this week signed into law the tax conformity bill, which will provide tax cuts for the state of Idaho and cause a loss of revenue of around $155 million. And also this week, the budget administrator, Lori Wolf, issued a letter to JFAC issuing how some of those budget cuts may affect certain agencies. As you sit on the Education Committee, what are those cuts going to look like for education in the state, and how are you planning to negotiate and advocate for your education budget priorities?
Well, the first question is where is it going to hit the most? So about $10 million is coming out of the Idaho Launch program, which is basically it's a program we use to connect high school students to the workforce, which we implemented a year or two ago. Very successful. That's going to be hard. We have about $30 million that's coming out of our virtual schools. And in the education landscape, e-learning and virtual schools is becoming a much bigger thing. And so that's being cut back. I think that's going to hurt us a little bit. And probably one of the places that I feel it the most is in our high school career technical education. And when we start cutting back on that, it's really cutting into people's ability to learn the knowledge, skills, and abilities that help them have living wages and be successful in life. So I'm particularly sensitive to that as well. So we advocate, as we always do, for our subject areas, and we fight for that. We also recognize that from time to time you have to take a hard look at things and redo them. An example of that would be our IDLA, which is Idaho Home Learning. We call it Academy. It's not really a school, but it's the it's a system that was set up 20 plus years ago when e-learning was first coming into play, where we could leverage teachers, high school teachers from across the state to our lower populations, rural areas, where they could benefit from having access to advanced subjects. And we're really concerned about that. About a third of their budget, or if not just a little more, has been cut. So we are going to have to spend some time rethinking how to structure that. We certainly don't want to lose that for our rural schools. It's so important that they have the same opportunities as those who live in the bigger towns.
Thank you so much. And just as a part of that, and mentioning, education funding and the priority that education is to our state, are there any other bills that your committee is planning on proposing, or any other priorities that you will be focusing on with the rest of the session regarding education?
Well, we have a number of bills that come through. An example of kind of an interesting one that was just introduced yesterday was last year we passed House Bill 93, which is a tax credit for private religious schools. So far, that money has not been touched, $50 million. And a bill came through yesterday to take, I think, $4 or $5 million out of that as well, just to make it kind of everybody gets a haircut. But it's a sensitive one because of all the emotion that we had with that last year. So other than that, we have some bills coming through, like requiring schools to identify and report undocumented citizens. So that's coming through. We'll see that probably. Some other bills like that. But mostly the focus that I've been working on is an effort, a multi-year effort to modernize general public education and to bring it into the next level of what our public schools could look like. So I've been spending a lot of time there and a lot of time working on bringing new nuclear projects and work to the Idaho National Laboratory.
And I know that we've talked a lot about education and your committee. Are there any other bills that you're planning on personally proposing or co-sponsoring, or any other legislative priorities that you have outside of education for the rest of the session?
Well, I mentioned the nuclear space. Next week, we're introducing a bill that we've written that really leans heavily into reprocessing spent nuclear fuel. Most people don't realize that only about 10% of the actual fuel gets used up in a fuel rod. And the technology is to go in and then process that, pull out that 90%, and it only leaves you 10% of the actual waste. So it's a great volume reduction as well as a recycling effort. So I have a bill. We're going to have an energy caucus next week. I'll be presenting to that to talk about what that bill is, and then what the potentials are at the Idaho National Laboratory for continuing to develop that technology and scale it up. But something that we certainly need in the industry is that industry sees the opportunity for nuclear power for some tremendous growth.
And thank you so much, Senator Lent, for joining us today. I just have one more question for you.
Sure.
What is the best way for your constituents to be involved in the legislative process?
Well, my constituents, because we get so many emails a day, I love it when they text me or call me or send me an email that identifies them as a local Idaho Falls or Bonneville County person. I'm in the process. This year I sent out some mailers and asked my constituents to write down their concerns and their thoughts and send it back to me. So I'm in the process right now. I only sent out about 5,000, but I think I've got a couple thousand back already. I'm in the process of trying to either call them or send them a letter in response to their thoughts and concerns. So I really appreciate that. That means the most to me, is being able to respond to people in my area and respect, their concerns.
Perfect. And thank you so much, Senator. We really appreciate your time.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.